I've been reading this book for the past 3 days, roughly. The name is Revolutionary Iran by Michael Axworthy or Worthy, something like that. And pretty much it just speaks about the revolution of the country in the 1960s and 70s, the Islamic Revolution, and speak a ton about. I'm not saying the current situation of the country and the world, but it just explains a lots and lots of things. It's pretty much like an advancement of what is happening right now. If you want to know what's happening right now and you like don't have pretty much no knowledge, rather than going on Wikipedia and reading 20 different articles, 20 different links, 20 different hours, etc., read this fucking book. This book is great. I've read only 45 pages until now, but it's a very good book. It just speaks about how the British and the Russians occupations, if you could call it occupations in the country, shaped the country a little bit. How the country was heavily a constitutionalist country. They always want to be a constitutional country for the longest. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the words in the right way, but because English is not my first language, but it's very interesting. It also speaks about the fact that when Iran found oil, when oil was found in Iran by a British expedition in 1908, pretty much this changed a lot. The hosting country, Iran, wasn't very happy on the terms that were made, and they tried to change it, but nothing happened all the way until the 1950s and 1960s. So nothing pretty much changed, but also here, for example, at page, the Shah, I don't know how it's pronounced, to be honest. I think it's called the Shah or the Shah of Iran in the 1920s. Pretty much he installed himself in the country. Like, he wasn't a monarch, he wasn't a royal, he wasn't even a noble, he wasn't even a prince. This guy didn't come from a background of royalty at all. This guy wasn't part of the royal part of Iran. This guy was pretty simple background, I guess, and he just went there in the early 1920s and got the power of the country, and he became a powerful man of the country, and then his son was the king, and so on, all the way to the 60s or 70s, and that was it. And pretty much the reason, from what I understand from the book, so if I'm wrong, if you're Iranian and I'm wrong, let me know, I'm gonna correct myself, right? But in the book it says that the reason why Iran was a bit modern was because of him. So like he said, he imposed Western dressing, etc., on Iranian men and women. And at the time, like, it was a different time, people used to think different, so they didn't like it. And he was very much disliked because of this. So I guess for a little bit, for a reason, the reason why Iran was so modern, it was because of the way, because his laws, his rules. And he also changed the school attendance. He said that in 1922 the school attendance was 55,000. In 1938 it was 450,000. He changed it. That's a lot. That's a good progress. He may not have been the best king or monarch or president of the country, but it was a good progress in my opinion. He also had like a force of like 100,000 soldiers. It was secondly force. You had to go there, you had to be a soldier, I think, when you turn 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. That's how it was, but he changed it a lot. And he didn't like British and Russians for some reason. He just didn't like them outright. He wanted German, Italians, and French to be his advisors. And then when Britain, I think, occupied in World War II Iran, because they disliked the German advisors in Iran, and the American also came, the Germans were kicked, and one of the Americans that came was the father of one of the military commander that led Desert Storm in 1991. So it's a lot of stuff happening here. Desert Storm in Iraq, for who doesn't know. That's a lot of shit right here. So this is just 45 pages I read, but if you wanna read the book, read it, buy it. It's great. This is the best books. If you wanna learn what's happening right now, buy this book. Thank you for watching. This is my first video on the channel. I know it's long, but thank you. And thank you again. Peace out.